Mentoring is one of 12 education approaches that are available to you when you are looking to guide, support, help others, no matter the situation, whether it's at school, at work, with family, or friends. With this presentation, I want to consider the 9 essential mentor traits and how to make a lasting impact with those traits. So, what we're going to do is learn about the traits and how they shape a mentee's growth and how you can improve them for yourself and for the mentee. In terms of meeting these traits, what I would like to do is use what are called 13 action verbs to unpack them. And it's a way for you to do your own reflection. So by the time you've gone through the presentation, you can use them as a way in which to go, okay, here's the steps that I can follow. And can I make a presentation about mentoring using these traits? Therefore, what you're doing is you're unlocking the encouragement of mentorship so that you have these traits at any time to build trust and guide the mentee forward. But also, they give you a sense of what could set you apart as a mentor when you go to explain your mentor practice. And that's helpful because to be able to share these traits with the mentee is a great way to introduce yourself, but also to anchor into their lives something that's important for them. And that'll become more obvious as we get into the presentation. We may be new to each other, and I thought I'd just do a brief introduction. I'm with the International Mentoring Community. It's a legacy project that is co facilitated with Doug Lawrence out of Talent C. I'm out of wealth movement dealing with younger, older, elder topics around aging, aging confidently. I've written a book about mentoring and other books, but this is the latest book that I have available. So I'm tapping into my experience, my conversations with Doug, our conversations about mentoring on a much wider basis. So let me introduce you to the 9 traits. They're confidence, commitment, discretion, presence, rapport, reciprocity, humility, tolerance, and credibility. Now you might go, well, isn't there, and you can add to the list. You may say, well, there might be some duplication here. That's okay. These are 9 that we from the international mentoring community, through all of our conversations, have identified as being important. And therefore, what might you do to define these terms? And that's where I'm going to encourage you to pull out your reflection journal, your mentoring journal, so that you can start to take some notes here. And the first thing is, I'm going to encourage you to think about defining each of these terms. And if that means popping into a dictionary, great. This is what I would encourage you first. Write the word down and then just write what you believe that word is about at this point in time, and then go and read at least 2 other sources, dictionaries or articles that define each of these terms so that you have your own dictionary that you're sort of creating for yourself. Then I would encourage you to describe each of these terms. Now, to describe, one of the best ways that I do it in today's world, because of this influencer economy that's out there, these content creators, and I guess I'm one here at the same time, is what would be 3 to 5 key words you would associate with each of these traits? So that what you have is a rounded view. You went and got a dictionary type uh, definition. Now you've got a keyword description. And what you're going to be doing is obviously bringing those together. Now, to help you out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these action verbs that are listed on the right, and I'm going to explain each one of them for the outcomes that are here on the left. So, in other words, we have taken a look at define and describe those outcomes, those traits. So, what we want to do now is we want to take a look at how might you communicate. So, I'm going to drop down to what might be called the end of the list because the challenge really is about can you communicate what these traits are about in their widest sense from a concept point of view and a practice point of view. If you can communicate them to the mentee, communicate them to other mentors in conversations, be able to bring to the foreground what these terms mean and how they impact mentoring and the mentee and yourself and the community in which you're serving, then what you've done is you've achieved what I'm setting out to do through this video presentation. So, from an identify list point of view, identify the ways that you use these terms and how might others be using them and who displays them. That's another really great way. Go to movies, go to books, go to other videos, and see who's identifying these traits. And with that, you might find lists of characteristics that you can add to the ones that you've already put into the foreground. So, again, some ways in which to take a look at really deepening and enriching these traits into your mentoring practice. The core concept here is what is important about each of these traits in your mentoring approach. That's what I'm asking you to think about. Because when you do that, so much more opens up for you, many ways of looking at it to gain a perception, perspective, and therefore be able to offer your point of view. The discuss element here, think of it this way. If you were asked to stand in front of a group of people, in 5 minutes, could you discuss, bring to the foreground the concepts of these traits? Then, as we move into it, will you be able to discuss the practices of these traits? As we look at demonstrate, manage, lead, what's happening here is can you demonstrate these qualities in the actions that you've taken? Can you explain how you use these terms, these traits in your mentoring approach? Because what you're doing is you're saying to yourself, okay, these are the best practices that I've learned because I've defined, described, identified, listed, discussed. But now, as I go to manage and lead using these traits, these are taking from best practices and turning them into my wise practices. And that helps to differentiate you because what you're able to do is share the nuances as you see them, as you have experienced them. And that is really important because as you go in to manage and lead, in other words, to actually show your mentoring prowess, then what you want to be able to do is say, these are how the traits fit in to my mentoring arrangement, my mentoring relationship, so that the mentee can get it, can grab it. Of even more importance is that the mentee can start to appreciate and celebrate these traits as you bring them in and then learn them themselves because that might be the primary reason for the mentoring, or it might be the secondary reason for the mentoring relationship and arrangement. So give that some good consideration as that unfolds for you. Where we go next is the review and evaluate. Now, the review is continually as you're moving through your mentoring, be reflecting, looking at ways to improve focus and strengthen your mentoring approach using these traits. Because if you can do that on a continuous basis, then you'll feel as though you're learning and growing, and the mentee will see and feel, sense that as well. But there are times where you've got to evaluate, and that might be at a point of, well, we've been going at this for maybe 3 months or 6 months. Why don't we take stock of what is happening in our mentoring relationship, our mentoring arrangement? Come back, look at these traits, and find out, are they showing up in what it is you're doing? Have there been any counterpoints? Have there been any blocks? What were the corridors that brought this forward? So take some quality time to evaluate how these traits are impacting this mentoring arrangement. When you have all of these together, in other words, define, describe, identify, list, discuss, demonstrate, manage, lead, review, evaluate, and you can communicate what these traits are about, then what you can do is acknowledge, advance, amplify, appreciate, celebrate these 9 mentor-mentee traits to make a lasting impact. And therefore, you unlock the encouragement of mentorship through leveraging these traits. And you become the mentor required, requested by the mentee. And that in and of itself is a gift, a legacy gift. And I wish you well on this journey and taking up these traits to heart, head, and hands. I'm going to encourage you to watch other videos on the channel, and please let us know if there is anything in particular that you would like explained, described, brought to the foreground in terms of mentoring, mentorship, mentoring arrangement, mentoring relationships. Again, please watch other videos like the ones that are showing up now. That would be great. And subscribe and comment. We so appreciate that. You take care.